Hi everyone, it's another Monday, it's another week. Welcome to today's Facebook Live where I will be talking about the stress or the worry we might feel when we are away from home. Okay. For those of you who are watching for the first time, welcome. I'm Denise. I'm a mom of two. I currently live in Madrid, although I am from the Philippines. And I am also a parenting coach where I help parents enjoy parenting. I think especially at this time where we are stuck at home, working from home, taking care of our kids, we don't have any outside help, it can be hard, right? It can be hard to be a parent. It can be hard to enjoy being with our kids and trying to just handle everything. And so if this feels like you and you're in need of support and help, then please reach out to me so we can look at how you can start enjoying this period. So today I decided to talk about how it feels like for me to not be home, right? Or that stress, right? That I noticed in some people talking about how can they do this in the pharmacy, or what about my doctor, or just like if I were home I would be doing this. And it's hard because we're not a lot of us aren't in the same country of where we grew up, right? So if this is you, can you please write in the comments so I know where did you grow up and where do you currently live, right? So for me, I grew up in the Philippines and right now I currently live in Spain. And so when I was reading someone and she was talking about just how hard it is, how she misses being home and how hard it is being with two small kids. And when we were told that we would have to stay home and we would be on lockdown, and then a few days later the same thing happened in the Philippines. And I think that's when I really began to realize that Spain, or specifically like this apartment, had actually become home for me. Because there wasn't anywhere else I would rather be on lockdown. While at the same time, the Philippines, where I'm from, where I grew up, where I spent my 20 plus years, does not stop also being home. So it's kind of like that weird thing where you have two senses of home. And I think that maybe even if you are still living in the same city that you grew up in, you are no longer living with your parents. Maybe you still are, but it's how like that idea of home can be two things at the same time, right? And so when here on this specific live, I'll be talking about home. When I say home, I'm gonna be referring to the Philippines, right? And so for me right now, what the stress that I'm feeling when I think of everything that we're going through in relation to my home is that, first of all, we were supposed to see my family in May in Europe, and then we were supposed to go back home in July. And now that's both up in the air, And so that for me is like, well, I don't know when I'm going to see my family again. So that's like a stress that I have with me. Another thing is what I mentioned earlier. It's like not knowing how some things work. So over the weekend, I had a really bad allergic reaction on my face, and I was just like, I don't even know, like, as far as I know, in Spain you can't just go to the pharmacy and buy antihistamine, right? You need like a prescription, while in the Philippines you could easily just buy antihistamine over the counter. So it's kind of like, you grow up knowing things work a certain way, and then you move and all of a sudden the way that you're used to working, it doesn't really work that way anymore. As a side note, if you do need to buy antihistamines in the pharmacy, you can. You don't need a prescription. But I think that is only because we are in a state of alarm, okay? So for those of you in Spain who get allergic reactions, you have that. Another thing is just not knowing. There are lots of people asking, like, they don't know how insurance works here. They don't know how people who have problems with rent and, not knowing if they'll be able to pay their rent. And it's just like, it's like, you just don't know. And you don't know, in your own language. You don't know how to say it in a different language as well sometimes. So it's really just like a feeling of not belonging, maybe more than not belonging. It's just like, what would that feeling be? It's just like it doesn't fit. And finally for me, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one in this, it's also just like I feel like I'm grieving for my country, and just like how I get the news. I have like this family group, and they're all just talking about the coronavirus, what's happening, what the politicians are doing, what they're not doing, and it stresses me out because it's like, you know, it's like you just have, it's my sense of home, and it's just my home is in pain, and there's nothing I can do. I can just like just hope that people will be okay and they'll be better, and that's it. And I don't think I'm the only one, you know, where you read the news, especially no matter where you're from, if you're from the States, if you're from Italy, like there's not that much good news coming in anywhere in the world. And it's just like kind of like a sense of helplessness, you know, of like, yeah, this is happening and there's nothing I can do about it. Like the best I can do is really just stay home and not leave the house. And so, you know, it's hard to have those feelings. Like for me, I think actually that's kind of like my main problem with the lockdown. When I talk to people and they ask me, how are you doing? And I was like, honestly, we're good. Like I can't complain. Yes, there are those high moments of stress throughout the day, but within our family, within our home, it's good. Like we got into a routine, which we sometimes follow or not. Like it doesn't matter, but you know, it works. We're happy. And then for me, the anxiety and the worry comes from thinking about like the rest of the world, and thinking about my home and my family, and when are we going to see each other again. So yeah, so I just wanted to share what I'm going through, because I see that other people are going through the same thing as well. It's just to kind of let you know that you are not alone. Okay, we are all suffering. Some are suffering more than others, but in our own different ways, we are carrying this pain with us. So on to like the tips of the day, and not just like the bad news. What I'm currently doing to help me through this, how I'm processing all of this. Well, first of all, as I have mentioned several times, I do a meditation every day. I do a mix of the different meditations that I have on hand. I really like, I mentioned it again, also the morning meditation of the Parenting Junkie. I listen to that every single morning. And then the rest of the mornings, I do different meditations. I listen to a lot of meditations by Health by Intuition. And I also like this loving kindness meditation, because it really helps me feel like I'm sending good vibes out to the world, and it's at least one thing I can do while stuck here at home. So again, I will post the links in this video description as well, in case you want to check them out. Another thing that I'm doing, which is not helpful, is stress eating, which is kind of like my default coping mechanism. Whenever I don't want to feel my feelings, I stress eat. And so that's actually why tomorrow we're gonna have she's a hypnotherapy coach. Her name is Heska, and her focus is actually this. It's on eating disorders and fertility. And so she's gonna talk about like what are the different coping skills that we can do that are actually helpful to us and to our bodies, as opposed to stress eating, stress drinking, stress looking at Facebook, stress, maybe even stress cleaning, if you know, although that seems quite a lot more helpful than stress eating. But yeah, so we're going to look at what are the different coping skills that we can use will actually be helpful to us. And finally, for me, what really helps also is having this feeling of community and support. So I get this, I'm in a WhatsApp group of moms that all live in the neighborhood. And so we really are friends. We really meet up every week. And so it's nice to get that sense of like, yeah, this is my home. And also I'm in actually various Facebook groups, all of different parents living in Madrid. And that also for me gives me a sense of community, that we are not alone, right? We might feel like we're alone. We might not see anyone else, but we are not going through this alone. And finally, that is also why I have set up weekly calls, just so that these calls are through Zoom, so they're video calls. And just because, it's one thing to read other people's messages, but it's another thing to actually see them face to face and actually have a back and forth conversation with them, right? And that really just brings together that sense of support. Even if you don't get anything else out of it, just being able to share, just being able to say your experience out loud and feel listened to can already make such a big difference. So last week I actually had my calls, and one of the moms was there, and she said that she had just logged on because she had just saw the link, and she was like, okay, what's happening now? So she opened it and she wasn't really expecting anything, and that it had really helped her because she didn't know that she had all of these things inside her, and saying it out loud helped her realize what she was feeling, what she was thinking, and then like just realize like what she needed to do next. Okay, so if you are going through this and you need that sense of support, and you don't feel like it's enough, if you don't feel like the WhatsApp groups are enough or the Facebook groups are enough, if you're talking to your friends and your family but they're not living in Spain, they're not living in Madrid, and you don't like, it's helpful, it is always helpful, but it's also not the same. So I highly suggest that you come on tomorrow. I'm having my group call. It's at 5 p.m. And so, yeah, it's free. You can come in. You can share as much as you want. You don't have to share anything if you don't want to. You can also just be there and listen. Okay? So I highly suggest you do that. So, yeah, so those are the main ways that I'm dealing with my stress of not being home. Again, they're meditation, recommended, stress eating, not so recommended. Is that getting that sense of community and support, that is also very recommended. So yeah, that's what's working for me. If you are going through this, can you please share what's working for you, or even what isn't working for you, and what you think could be working for you instead? I would love to hear how you guys are all doing and what you're going through. And finally, as I mentioned in the beginning, I know how strange it can be to have that feeling of being so far from home, but at the same time feeling like you are at home. And so as a parenting coach, what I do is I give you that space to feel those feelings, right? Even though they might feel contradictory, as if you shouldn't be feeling them, it's okay, and I let you feel those feelings, and then once you've felt them, we look at what you can do moving forward, right? What can help you, and what will be useful to you, and what you can apply. Okay, so if you want to know more about coaching with me and how this would look like in your life, I am doing free calls to anyone that needs it, so please send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. And Claudia, thank you. Hi, how are you doing? Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. I hope you're fine. I hope you're well. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're safe. And that goes to everyone else who is watching. I hope it's like the loving kindness meditation. It's like, what is it? May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you be at peace. And Claudia, I am so happy you are doing better than what you thought. That is amazing news. Okay, so everyone else, have a nice Monday. Have a nice week. Again, tomorrow at 5 p.m. I have my Zoom call. Everyone is invited. I will share the link later in the video description. And I will be back here at 6:30 to talk about coping skills with Heska. I'll see you then. Bye.